things, probably a little more energy in the building as we're getting started today. It's our first day in full pads as a team. And since last Thursday, we ramped up, it had been 228 days since we were all together. So it's good to have this group together and where we're at. But this next 3-day block for us is going to be a big one for sure. And then on the roster update, we activated Jamal Carter off the COVID reserve list. I just wanted to kind of give you some updates before we got rocking.
David?
Yeah, Coach, we got news yesterday that you all be opening without any fans in the home games. I know it's down the road a little bit, but any thoughts on that?
Well, I think for us, rule number one is protecting the team, and the fans are certainly part of our team. So let's hope that's just for the month, and then we can, kind of like we're doing with the team here, ramp up. Same thing with the fans as the season goes on, and it gains more, information as we're going. So hopefully from October on, that'll be the case, but always protecting the team first.
And through the first part of practice, how has Charles Harris been doing as he tries to get acclimated to your scheme?
Well, I think the first thing that jumps off, he's really got a good takeoff. So we've been putting him at both right end and left end. And over the next 2 weeks, for the guys that are the newest members of the team, we'll try to find out as much as we can and try to put them in the spots that they can do the thing. But so far, what we've seen from him has certainly been a good get off, and he's got really strong hands. So we're anxious to see him over the next 2 weeks for sure.
Charles Odom?
Talk about how Hayden Hurst is fitting in, and did your signing of Luke Stalker in any way reflect upon what you've seen from Hurst?
Charles, I got you out of whack there a little bit. You mind repeat that for me one more time, please?
Let me try without the mess. Can you talk about the signing of Luke Stalker, and did that in any way reflect upon what you've seen from Hayden Hurst?
No. Okay. Good question. No, the one with Luke, we've certainly had him, an eye on him for a while as we were going. It's the versatility, really, Charles, that made the biggest, difference for us. Here's a guy who can play in the backfield as a fullback, a blocking tight end. But no, we're certainly pleased with Hayden. It was just an opportunity that we could add Luke into the group. So when the moment presented itself, we pounced on it.
Thanks.
Tori McElhaney?
Yes. Hi, Coach. We're talking to Marlon Davidson later today, and a major storyline for him last year was the jump that he made in 1 year by transforming his body. When you look back at your first evaluations of him, what did that tell you about the guy that you were getting?
Well, I think what it showed was here was a big guy, and if the weight's right, he can really move. And so for him, the most effective for us was, seeing him at, 295 pounds. You saw him at defensive end so many times. So he'll play some defensive end, but we'll also slide him into defensive tackle where he can use that quickness and use that speed, to beat somebody to the punch. So I've been real impressed so far with his discipline. Weight's exactly where it should be. And so when you send messages like that as a rookie to say, hey, man, this is where you want me to be. This is where I'm at. It's you do what you say you're going to do. That's been certainly the case so far with Marlon with us here.
And with Hayden Hurst, Matt Ryan was talking a couple weeks ago, and he said that he's a different type of tight end than anybody he's played with before. And I was wondering what your perspective on that is and what you could kind of say about the different things that he does bring in comparison to maybe guys before him.
Right. And I think Matt could probably answer that better. But the one thing that, when you watch Hayden from college and even at Baltimore was his ability to run seam routes. And so there's a certain, knack and technique that goes along with that. How do you, work a guy out of the seam and break back in to go catch passes? He's got a really big catching radius where he can go up and grab it. So those are things, with his speed, he's really good at running vertical routes. But yeah, Matt would be a better, indicator on that. But that's one of his strengths, I would say, is the seam routes.
Thank you.
Will McFadden?
Yeah. Hey, Coach. Given the importance with running the ball better this year and protecting Matt, more consistently, what qualities does Chris Morgan have that makes you feel he's the right person to get that out of the group?
And certainly the running game's the most, physically demanding part of our, running phase or our offense. But I would say, number one, all the players, their skills are what drive it. And that's why all of them are here, because they have the ability to do it. So it'll take rep after rep, Will, over this next, 3 weeks to begin for our running game with one new runner with Todd, incorporate Nito back into it and the development of Quadri. All of it goes into it together. But, Chris is certainly a proven guy, at offensive line, and it takes all of us. So offensive line, running backs, receivers, tight ends, the scheme, the quickness. So it just kind of all blends together. And that's why in the running game, Will, over and over, you got to keep the reps, keep it going so you can set up certain blocks on certain plays. So it just takes time. And that's what over the next 3 weeks, we're really committed to that.
And then I know I asked you earlier about the lack of a preseason and how that could affect your ability to evaluate some of the younger guys on your roster. Right. But what about even some of the veteran competitions that you guys have going on? Are you confident you'll be able to get a good sense of who's best suited to start maybe at nickel corner or at that left guard spot or somewhere like that?
Well, we're going to have to, Will. So we're creating those moments. And that was a lot of thought went into that. How do we create more scrimmage opportunities, unscripted plays against different people? So we have a number of those lined up throughout training camp, and those will be the best chances for that when they're unscripted and just playing it like in preseason game format, so to speak.
Cody, Fox 5.
Coach, we've seen the videos posted online of A.J. Terrell. Your first impressions of him, any other rookies stand out to you so far?
I haven't seen the videos posted online. Is that what you asked, Cody, on the first one?
Yeah, a couple of great interceptions by him so far.
I was there live. I saw it. I didn't even have to see it posted. I was good. He's really a real competitor, Cody, and that really shows up. Just first rep, last rep, whatever it is, he's down for it. He's really working hard at the line of scrimmage. He's got fantastic ball skills to go up and get it. But as the first part is gone, he's been the competitor I thought, and I knew he was a good competitor. But seeing him come in and want to challenge right from the start, I think that shows a lot about who he is. And, he's off to a good start.
Jason Butt.
Hey, Coach. Wanted to get back to Marlon Davidson, if that's all right.
Sure.
When you guys were scouting him, when it came to his personality, what was the first thing that stood out to you in that department, and what kind of sense did you get when it came to football, meaning being so important to him? Well,
I'd say usually you're trying to find, a hunger index on a guy, Jason, to see where they're at. And this guy loves football. It shows in his play, and, from the scouts who went to practice, it shows in the way he practiced. And then being around him and, hear him talk about different techniques or things he's been involved with, it just came across so strong and clear about how much he loved to compete and play. And so all those, attributes, you put them together, and the willingness is there to get better, the effort, all of that factors in. So, I think he's got a big future. I really do feel that way.
And then with Hayden, you mentioned obviously his skill set with being a pass catcher, being able to run those seam routes. But how is he as a run blocker? I think we've talked a lot about him as a receiver, but where does he fit in the run game? Yeah,
that's a good question. And he is an every down tight end, so he's over 260 pounds. He's really urgent, really tough. My experience so far in practice is he is a guy that puts in work. And so far, when you see a player at that level working as hard as he is, he's going to fit in just fantastic with this group. But the work ethic, the toughness, it's all there. And so we're excited to see him, not just as a pass catcher, but, as an every down, tight end for us.
Zach Klein.
Hey, Coach, with no fans and the more likelihood to hear the quarterback on both sides of the ball, will you spend more time working on cadence to work on that and, on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, it's a good question, Zach. And the reason is there may be some times where you incorporate silent count, not for the crowd noise, but for the variation and the change, So code words and hand signals, we'll have to dig deep into our baseball backgrounds. I was asking Hayden about that. What are indicators and how does it work, for some of the signals? Because you're certainly not going to be able to, every week keep some of the same code words and hand signals. So that'll be a little bit of cat and mouse for sure.
Thank you.
Alex Glaze.
Hey Dan, you said this is a big 3-day block. Just curious, what are you hoping to get out of these next 3 days? Obviously, this is an accelerated time period, but what are you really hoping to see first day in pads today and over the next 3 days?
Yeah, I think the padded days to me are always been devoted to the big guys because that's the position that changes so much when you put on shoulder pads because their game is different in how they'll play. So line of scrimmage play, they don't get the same work, as a receiver or quarterback or DB when they can get for their throwing. So it's an important part for the big guys, especially to get our run game going, to get our pass rush going. Those are things that when you have pads on, you're more able to fully, express how you're going to play and skill work. So that's the big, part of that. And then overall team wise, Alex, I would say, just you're looking to say consistency. They've gone through the install, virtually. We've gone through it in a walkthrough. Now at full speed, are they really able to nail, their responsibilities?
Vaughn, were you able to get on? All right, we'll go to Nitra. Tanitra from 92.9.
Bueller.
All right, Kelsey Conway.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
We can.
Kendall Sheffield seemed like he was out for the first couple of those open practices. Just do you have an update on his health?
Yes, he'll be back today, working through some individual parts. So he had a foot that was sore, so just taking an abundance of caution to make sure he's, fully good and ready to go. So he'll ramp back up over the next few days.